Subscribe and hit the bell icon to never miss an update from ETimes TV.
मॉल की कहानी खत्म हो गई थी, आईपीएल भी एक दो महीने में, तो फिर आपको थोड़ा बहुत तो टाइम चाहिए होता है ना शो को सेट करने का। और मैं एस्ट्रोलॉजी में भी बिलीव करती हूँ, तो जनवरी में शुक्र वक्री था, कुछ लॉन्च नहीं करना था मुझे, तो इसीलिए। और पेंडेमिक ने भी अपना तीसरा राउंड शुरू कर दिया था, तो अभी ऐसा सिचुएशन था कि यही एक पैच था फरवरी का जब हम लॉन्च कर सकते थे और थोड़ा सा ब्रीदिंग टाइम दे सकते थे दोनों शोज को। और दोनों अलग कहानियां हैं, पर मुझे मजा आता है अलग कहानियां कहने का। मुझे कहीं ना कहीं एक टाइप का कंटेंट बनाने में मजा नहीं आता। लोगों को लगता है सिर्फ कंटेंट मैंने सोप्स बनाया, बट चाहे वो ऑल्ट के एजी शोज हो, चाहे वो लुटेरा हो, चाहे वो उड़ता पंजाब हो, चाहे वो डर्टी पिक्चर हो, चाहे वो अभी अपहरण हो, मैंने कोशिश तो यही की है कि मैं अपने हाथों से, अपने कंपनी से कुछ अलग देते रहूं। उसमें अगर एक्सेप्ट होता है तो ग्रेट, नहीं होता तो भी ग्रेट है। परिणीति रिलेशनशिप्स का सबसे अजीब मोड होता है जब आपके सबसे क्लोजेस्ट फ्रेंड्स आपके अगर यू आर शेयरिंग अ प्लेस विथ योर फ्रेंड्स, where you realize that there could be a sense of love between a man and you, and that friend, and you have to now realize that the same man you both are sharing. It's a bit of a stress also, and it's an interesting world also to understand कि ऐसा बहुत होता है, because proximity, sometimes even the way that people shift cities, and it can happen. So it's an interesting story for me. नागिन से अगर मैं अपने वर्ड्स में डिस्क्राइब करूंगी तो इतना ही कहूंगी कि दुनिया बदल रही है, दुनिया बदल चुकी है, और नागिन का बदलने का वक्त आ गया है। अब पर्सनल वेंडेटा के लिए नागिन नहीं है। So I saw Tejasswini in the show, and we spoke to her manager, and we signed her a manager who assured us that she will be on. There was no, and before this also we had seen her, but on the show I just liked her so much. I mean, I don't see too much of Bigg Boss, honestly, but like a lot of my friends, like the clippings are all over Instagram, and and I think she's a very, very attractive young girl. There's something in her eyes, and I just cast. I mean, honestly, I have never met her except for in the show, and then when I gave her a narration now, I knew she was going to win when she won my evil eye, and it went from Rakesh to Karan to her. So I just knew she was going to win, because I felt that was some kind of luck that went to her. But more than that, I have done nothing. Do not think I even have the power to sit and tell a channel, I want this one again. Like, really, why would I? Like, nothing. I don't know. The girl, she was pretty. She clearly had a lot of love from the audience. Like, I connected to her when I saw her, and that's all that I think made her win. Poor girl, for her to like constantly have to like defend herself. उसकी जो आंखें हैं ना, बहुत ही अजीब सी, उसमें एक बहुत ही इनोसेंस भी है, और एक सेंस ऑफ ड्राइंग है, मतलब she can draw you, and that I very few people have. और नागिन की सबसे बड़ी बात है कि उसमें सैडनेस, रिवेंज और पेन बहुत है। इट्स नॉट अ टिपिकल गर्ल्स लव स्टोरी और रिवेंज स्टोरी ना, नागिन की जो है। Even though she's a shape-shifting snake, she's got femininity and she's got strength in her. And I thought Tejasswini's face had both. In the show, I really liked her, and I knew that she wanted to work with us, and I really liked her face. She's so pretty. And more than pretty, those are really enchanting eyes. I mean, people who can speak from their eyes are special. And I knew she would win because she was wearing my evil eye bracelet, necklace, nothing else. Nobody did anything. We spoke to her manager, and we spoke to them, and I said that, you know what, I think the channel, we had confirmed her through the manager, and they made her do a Naagin dance at the finale. And then we shot her promo post that. So the same night actually. So I think it was amazing to have someone who's so good in the show, because I really like. I mean, I don't see too much of reality, but when I'd seen bits of her on the show, on Instagram and stuff, I really liked her eyes. They are so like they speak volumes. And that's important for an actor for me, whose eyes speak, because so much is communicated in silences. So more than auditioning, I basically, we're a bit of a jam. There's so much work in the industry, and there are so many actors, and the ones you want are busy doing web shows or movies. And then there is a lot of talent you see. You want to like get new faces also, but there is always that thing that they don't have maybe sometimes personality, or maybe they're too young or early in the day to play something as vivacious as an Naagin. You know how it is. So yeah, there was a process wherein we went through a lot of phases. I mean, it'll be a little immodest for me to say I auditioned 55 faces and rejected 55 faces, but there was that spark that we wanted, and we couldn't find it till we found Tejasswini. Honestly, I was very sure I'll get trolled. Like, very sure. Like, there is not even one moment I thought, okay, I'm not going to get trolled. Actually, a friend of mine had given me this idea. He had told me that, we don't in India pick up, make fiction stories on real life incidences well. Okay. And, like, I mean, for example, a Titanic came out of a real incident, and and while the pandemic is probably something that everyone will do, and the Netflixes of the world and the Amazons will do these large billion-dollar shows, this is such a big. We're witnessing history, and we've all changed in the last 2 years, and Nagin had to change. I mean, I made one during the pandemic, and I felt that I had lost the there was something, like, I personally felt maybe this time also it'll be the same, but I definitely knew that there was something I felt which was new in the first Nagin, which was missing when I was writing a lot of the stuff later. And I thought maybe it's not just me, the world has changed so much, and to deal with a pandemic in a space wherein the Nagin takes a revenge on this was something that I remember, I still remember everyone's face when I read it, and they said, this is terribly ridiculous, but it can really work or go really bad. And I honestly felt that this is the time for me to do something with Nagin that shakes the basics of that show, otherwise it's always personal revenge. 8 people she sees comes, how many times can she do that? And with pandemic affecting everyone's life, there's a serious amount of relatability. I'm trying to deal with it with a lot of empathy also, I mean, we have all faced a lot of trauma. If we can in some way reflect some of that trauma in the show, it's been problematic. People have had, the rich have become richer, the poor have become poorer, and it's nobody's fault. Pharmaceuticals took off, restaurants had to suffer. It just took the whole world order and changed it. So we thought it's time to deal with it in our own way. Of course, it'll be very entertaining, but there won't be. I'm trying to yet look at it with a little bit of empathy. I do not want to lose that, because I know that the amount of relatability I've had with my staff now. I never used to spend time talking to them, but in the last 2 years, we all were stuck in the same house. We got to know each other better. Like, there's so much that changed in us, Send you 4-5 articles where this all came from, wherein people have done this. There's a lot of migration in small towns, and it happens all the time. I mean, right, regressive, not regressive, that you see the show and decide. But if you go to see a lot of men, they are married and then they migrate to cities for jobs, and they have separate wives here, separate lives here. So there is, of course, the drama around it, but it's not something that is not happening, or migrant workers, so many of them, or people have these marriages they do. I have a friend, and I don't want to take his name. He has been married, and like he's got a wife in the village, and I'm like, how can you live like that? And he's like living like a single guy in Bombay. So there are people who are doing these things all the time, and they live their lives with this because there's pressure, there is so much of uh, expectation, and I think there is a certain amount of social fracture that creates the duality in our lives. We have different families and different lives alone, and this is just, there is a lot of mirroring of society in this show. She is no more, but if there was ever a Nagin queen, it was Sri Devi ji. There would be Rekha ji because she's so good. Presently, I would think that there's a little bit of personality that Nagin requires. Maybe Kangna, so she would be great, and I think yeah. नमस्ते गाइस, हमारे 2 शोज लॉन्च हो रहे हैं कलर्स प्लेटफॉर्म पे, एक नागिन 6 और एक परिणीति। मैं चाहती हूँ आप हमारे दोनों शोज को सैंपल करें और उसे वही प्यार दें जो आपने हमें पहले दिया है। कोशिश वही है कि हम आपको एंटरटेनमेंट देते रहें, और आई होप हम इस कोशिश में भी कामयाब रहें। थैंक यू सो मच।